24. Most shocking plastic surgery transformations. Imagine waking up looking in the mirror and realizing the face staring back doesn't feel like you anymore. One tiny tweak turns into another, then another, until there's no way back. Today on Legends of Black Excellence, we're exposing 24 of the most shocking plastic surgery transformations ever seen. Viral, faces, extreme fillers, body modification obsession, and quick fixes that turned into lifelong nightmares. Some people call it empowerment, others call it self-destruction. But was it worth it? Hit like, subscribe, and comment right now. Where do you draw the line between glow up and gone too far? Sahar Tabar. Sahar Tabar didn't just go viral, she became a global shock headline overnight. The young Iranian internet figure stunned people with ghost-pale skin, exaggerated lips, razor-sharp cheekbones, and eerie facial expressions that made millions stop scrolling. Online rumors exploded claiming she wanted to look like Angelina Jolie, and the world ate up the story because it sounded too wild to be real. But what many people didn't realize is that much of her look was fueled by filters, dramatic makeup, and heavy photo editing, with some speculation that cosmetic procedures may have played a role too. Either way, the result was the same. Before and after that felt unreal, and the internet couldn't look away. Sahar's image wasn't treated like a person, it was treated like entertainment. She wasn't just judged. She was turned into a meme, mocked, reposted, and reduced to a punchline by strangers who never met her. Millions watched her face like it was a show, but few stopped to ask what it does to a young woman's mind when the whole planet laughs at her reflection. But let me ask you something: when someone becomes famous for their face, do we blame them? Or the world that rewards extremes? Because the comments section can be brutal, and once the internet decides you're different, it doesn't stop until it breaks you. Sahar Tabar's story is bigger than one viral transformation. It exposes the dark truth of modern beauty culture. Attention is power, and in a world addicted to shock, normal doesn't get clicks. A young woman chasing visibility can end up trapped inside a character she created for likes. And when beauty standards become unrealistic, the pressure doesn't just reshape faces, it reshapes identities. In the end, her name stayed unforgettable, not because she reached perfection, but because her story warns us what happens when social media turns insecurity into a spectacle. Martina Big. Martina Big is one of the most controversial names linked to extreme transformation, and her story feels like a headline the world couldn't escape. Born in Germany, she first lived a fairly ordinary life, even working as a flight attendant. But blending in was never the life she wanted. Martina chased attention through dramatic cosmetic change, starting with massive breast augmentations that pushed her body far beyond mainstream beauty standards. Using oversized saline implants, she reportedly reached one of the most extreme chest sizes in Europe, instantly becoming a shock figure in tabloids and online discussions. But the real explosion came later, when her transformation crossed into something far deeper than cosmetic surgery. Martina began using melanotin, a synthetic tanning substance known for darkening the skin. Over time, her complexion changed drastically, and she shocked the public by claiming she wasn't just tanning, she was transitioning into a black woman. The internet erupted. Some people saw it as offensive and disrespectful, accusing her of turning race into a costume. Others argued she was mentally unwell or addicted to extremes. Martina, however, stayed defiant, insisting her transformation was her personal truth and refusing to back down despite global backlash. Her story forces a hard conversation about where body autonomy ends and cultural boundaries begin. Cosmetic surgery is one thing, but when someone publicly claims a racial identity based on appearance, it hits a raw nerve for millions of people. So let me ask, can identity be chosen like a style, or are there lines that should never be crossed? Because whether you view Martina Big as a symbol of freedom, delusion, or controversy, one thing is undeniable: she became impossible to ignore, and her name will always live in the debate over transformation, obsession, and the limits of self-expression. Juju Oliveira. Juju Oliveira was once celebrated as the kind of Brazilian model who didn't need to try to be beautiful. She had that natural glow, soft balance in her features, and a look that felt effortless on camera. Her career was rising, her social media was growing, and fans admired her confidence. What made Juju stand out even more was her honesty. In an industry where so many people deny cosmetic work, she reportedly spoke openly about using fillers and beauty treatments, treating them like personal choices instead of shameful secrets. At first, that transparency felt refreshing, almost empowering. But the danger with cosmetic enhancements is how easily a little turns into a routine. Over time, Juju appeared to rely on fillers more heavily, especially around the lips and cheeks, chasing a younger, fuller look one appointment at a time. The changes became noticeable, then dramatic. Her once delicate facial structure started looking swollen and exaggerated, as if her features were slowly losing their natural proportions. And then came the consequences. Reports describe painful complications, including intense swelling inflammation infections and hard lumps forming under the skin, signs that the body was no longer tolerating what was being injected. What makes Juju Oliveira's story hit differently isn't just the physical outcome, it's the emotional fallout. When your face becomes unfamiliar, confidence can collapse overnight. Imagine building your identity around beauty, then looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. Her transformation stands as a warning in a world obsessed with flawless filters and eternal youth. Even when you're honest, even when you start small, it's dangerously easy to go too far until more becomes the very thing that takes everything away. Jessica Alves. Jessica Alves is one of the most infamous names ever connected to extreme plastic surgery, and her transformation is the definition of shocking on a global scale. Before the world knew her as Jessica, she was widely recognized as Rodrigo Alves, the self-proclaimed human Ken doll. What started as cosmetic enhancement quickly turned into a relentless obsession with manufactured perfection. Over the years, Jessica reportedly underwent more than 100 procedures, including multiple nose jobs, jaw reshaping, cheek enhancements, lip fillers, and full-body sculpting. Nearly every feature was redesigned, refined, and repeated again and again until her appearance became less human and more like a living, breathing doll. But behind the headline-making before and after photos was a much darker reality: the physical cost. With so many surgeries, complications became unavoidable. Jessica has publicly discussed facing severe medical issues, ranging from infections and breathing problems to emergency situations that reportedly brought her frighteningly close to death more than once. Doctors warned her to stop. Critics questioned the ethics of surgeons continuing to operate, and the public watched as her body seemed to battle the very transformations meant to perfect it. The more extreme the changes became, the more it looked like a cycle that couldn't be controlled. What makes Jessica Alves' story truly unforgettable is that it eventually became more than surgery. It became survival and self-discovery. After years of chasing an artificial ideal, she stepped away from the Ken doll identity and opened up publicly about gender identity, as well as the emotional and psychological damage that can hide behind beauty obsession. Her journey highlights something many people don't want to admit. Sometimes the loudest transformations are driven by the quietest pain. In the end, Jessica isn't just a viral shock story. She's a real reminder that perfection can come with a price far heavier than anyone expects. Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is one of the most extreme and controversial figures to ever rise from internet fame, and her transformation feels like a living warning sign in the age of viral attention. From the moment she appeared online, people were stunned by her exaggerated curves, doll-like face, and proportions pushed far beyond natural limits. Unlike most cosmetic stories that start with just a little tweak, Mary was never chasing subtle beauty. She openly aimed for a fantasy image often described as a blow-up doll or hypersexualized doll aesthetic, something designed to shock, stand out, and be unforgettable. To build that look, Mary reportedly went through repeated breast augmentations, along with heavy use of fillers and lip injections that reshaped her face into an almost cartoon-like version of femininity. But the most disturbing part of her transformation is how far the pursuit of a tiny waist allegedly went. Reports and online discussions have claimed she underwent rib removal, a procedure sometimes associated with extreme body modification to make her waist dramatically smaller. Whether every rumor is fully confirmed or not, the overall pattern is clear. Her appearance didn't evolve gradually, it escalated. Each new change seemed to unlock another insecurity, another procedure, another level of risk. Mary Magdalene's story sits right at the center of a major debate that divides people. Supporters argue it's her body and her choice. Radical self-expression, total control freedom. Critics see a dangerous addiction fueled by the internet's obsession with extremes and the constant reward of attention. Her transformation forces a hard truth into the spotlight when your body becomes the brand stopping can feel impossible. In the end, Mary isn't just before and after. She represents the terrifying reality that perfection, when defined by fantasy instead of humanity, can turn cosmetic surgery into a cycle that never truly ends. Vanilla Chamu. Vanilla Chamu's transformation story feels like something pulled straight out of a dark fairy tale. Beautiful at first glance, but unsettling the longer you look. She was described as a Japanese model with soft, natural features, but over time she became obsessed with a fantasy that didn't really exist in real life, the idea of becoming a French doll. Not a celebrity, not a specific person. Just an imagined porcelain ideal shaped by internet aesthetics, exaggerated innocence and artificial perfection. And once that idea took hold, it wasn't about enhancement anymore. It became a mission. To chase that doll-like image, Vanilla reportedly underwent multiple cosmetic procedures aimed at making her face look less human and more like a toy. The changes included surgeries to make her eyes appear larger and rounder, a chin implant to sharpen and narrow her jawline, and breast implants to exaggerate her body proportions. She also reportedly lightened her skin dramatically to match the pale porcelain doll aesthetic she admired. Step by step, her features moved further away from natural balance and closer to something cartoonish, so overstated that many viewers didn't see beauty anymore, only shock. Instead of admiration, her transformation sparked ridicule. Online commentary turned cruel, and people reduced her appearance to a spectacle rather than seeing a person underneath the procedures. That's what makes her story so tragic. The French doll standard was never real, only a fantasy built from distorted beauty ideals. In trying to become something unreal, Vanilla seemed to lose connection with who she once was. Her case becomes a haunting reminder that when beauty is defined by illusion instead of humanity, transformation can stop feeling like self-expression and start looking like self-erasure. Amanda Ahola. Amanda Ahola is a Finnish model and social media personality whose transformation pushed the real-life Barbie fantasy into a dangerous territory. With long blonde hair, dramatic curves, and a hyper-feminine image, Amanda didn't just admire the doll-like ideal, she reportedly made it her mission to live it. Her look was built through repeated cosmetic changes, including 3 breast augmentations, heavy use of facial fillers and other enhancements designed to exaggerate her features far beyond natural proportions. She documented much of the journey, publicly turning her body into both a personal project and an online spectacle that people watched with fascination and concern. But the part of Amanda's story that shocks people most isn't just the appearance, it's the risk. During one cosmetic procedure, she reportedly suffered a severe reaction to anesthesia that nearly killed her. That moment should have been a full stop, a wake-up call that the body can only handle so much. Yet according to the narrative, it wasn't enough to end the cycle. Amanda continued to defend her choices, framing them as confidence and self-expression, even while critics questioned whether the pursuit of a fantasy look was becoming a form of dependency fueled by validation. Her case sits right on the fault line of modern beauty culture. Supporters see Amanda as empowered, someone refusing to let society shame her for controlling her appearance. Others see the darker side, a world where unrealistic beauty ideals are marketed as freedom, while quietly pressuring people to risk their health to stay perfect. Amanda Ahola's story forces viewers to face a hard truth. When identity becomes inseparable from appearance, even survival may not be enough to break the obsession. Lin May. Lin May, also known as Lin May, was once the definition of old-school glamour in Mexican entertainment. In her prime, she wasn't just attractive, she was iconic. A celebrated vedette dancer, actress, and singer, Lin had the kind of natural beauty and stage presence that made her a national sex symbol. She didn't need trends or tricks to stand out. She already was the spotlight, the kind of performer people remembered decades later. But as time passed, the industry's obsession with youth began to tighten its grip. Like so many women in entertainment, Lin reportedly felt pressured to keep looking frozen in her prime, even as aging naturally became impossible to hide. What started as anti-aging maintenance slowly turned into a long series of cosmetic decisions, facelifts, cheek enhancements, and repeated injections. Instead of restoring her youthful look, those procedures gradually reshaped her face again and again, until the public barely recognized her. Photos of her then versus now spread online, and her name became a viral example people used when talking about plastic surgery gone wrong. The most painful part is that Lin May has publicly spoken about regret and emotional suffering. She didn't just face physical changes, she endured public humiliation, cruel jokes, and endless comparisons that turned her face into a punchline. Her story is a harsh reminder that chasing eternal youth can sometimes destroy the very thing it tries to protect. Because when the world starts mocking your reflection, it's no longer about beauty, it's about losing control over your own identity. Alicia Amira. Alicia Amira is a Swedish influencer model and entrepreneur who didn't just transform her appearance, she built an entire identity around it. Her look is instantly recognizable, exaggerated curves, a dramatically enhanced face, and a hyper-feminine style that refuses subtlety. Through cosmetic surgery and frequent beauty procedures, including breast augmentations and heavy use of fillers, Alicia crafted a bimbo aesthetic taken to the extreme. But unlike many people who try to hide their enhancements, Alicia does the opposite. She speaks loudly, confidently, and unapologetically about choosing this look on purpose. What makes Alicia stand out in the world of shocking transformations is that she treats it like a lifestyle philosophy, not a secret. She even founded the Bimbo Academy, a platform that celebrates extreme femininity as empowerment, confidence, freedom, and rebellion against traditional expectations. To her supporters, Alicia represents a woman controlling her body and image on her own terms, refusing to apologize for being bold, glamorous, or too much. She embraces the attention and turns criticism into fuel. But her story also sparks controversy for a different reason. Critics argue that calling extreme beauty empowerment can still reinforce unrealistic standards, especially in a culture already obsessed with appearance. Some people see it as self-expression. Others see it as the internet repackaging insecurity with a new label. Alicia Amira's transformation keeps the debate alive because it challenges one uncomfortable question: when confidence is built on exaggeration, is it liberation or another kind of trap? Either way, she doesn't ask to be understood, only seen, and in a world driven by visibility that may be her boldest statement of all. Raji Narayanasinghe. Raji Narayanasinghe's story is one of the most heartbreaking and terrifying examples of what can happen when cosmetic dreams collide with exploitation. As a transgender woman, Raji spent years wanting her outside to finally match who she truly was inside. Like many trans women, she hoped cosmetic enhancements could soften her features and help her feel seen, safe, and confident in her own skin. But there was one brutal barrier standing in her way: money. High-quality licensed surgery and fillers weren't affordable, and that vulnerability made her the perfect target. Raji turned to someone she believed was a medical professional offering cheaper injections. What she didn't know was that this person was allegedly a fraud. Instead of medical-grade fillers, she was injected with a toxic mixture of industrial substances, commonly reported in her case as including cement and mineral oil, along with other dangerous materials never meant to enter the human body. The damage was immediate and devastating. Her face swelled, hardened, and deformed as painful lumps formed beneath her skin. The internet cruelly labeled her cement face, turning her suffering into a headline and stripping away her humanity with a nickname. For a long time, Raji lived in shame and fear like many victims of illegal injections who stay silent because they feel trapped. But her turning point came when she appeared on the reality series Botched, where licensed surgeons worked to remove some of the material and repair the damage as much as possible. While they couldn't erase everything, the procedure gave her something bigger than cosmetic improvement. It gave her her voice back. Today, Raji Naranasinghe is widely recognized as an advocate, using her story to warn others about illegal cosmetic procedures and to fight for safer options for marginalized communities. Her transformation isn't about vanity, it's about survival and the price people pay when desperation meets deception. Neven Ciganović. Neven Ciganović is a Croatian stylist, TV personality, and influencer whose transformation became a headline because he never tried to hide it. Unlike many public figures who deny cosmetic work, Neven has been described as brutally honest, openly discussing the procedures he's had and treating reinvention like a form of control. Over time, his appearance reportedly changed through multiple nose surgeries, heavy Botox use, and frequent fillers, creating a sharp, sculpted, highly artificial look. For Neven, beauty wasn't about subtle enhancement. It was about standing out, staying visible, and shaping himself into the image he believed matched his identity. But extreme transformation comes with a price, and Neven's story includes a moment that shocked even people who thought they'd seen it all. During a nose surgery, he reportedly suffered a serious complication linked to anesthesia, an incident that quickly made media rounds and intensified the debate about risk in the pursuit of perfection. What was meant to refine a feature became a frightening reminder that every procedure carries consequences, even when it's done in professional settings. Yet despite the dangers, Neven continued to show up on television, give interviews, and remain outspoken about beauty culture and the pressure to look flawless. That's what keeps his story polarizing. To some, Neven Ciganović represents confidence and radical honesty, someone who refuses to be ashamed of changing his face and owning his choices. To others, he's a warning sign of how obsession can quietly turn into self-destruction, especially in a world where attention rewards extremes. His transformation forces a tough question when cosmetic work becomes a lifestyle. Does it stay self-expression? Or does it slowly become a battle with the mirror that never truly ends? Tara Jane McConney. Tara Jane McConney is one of the most extreme human Barbie cases the internet has ever seen, and her story feels like a transformation that never knows when to stop. A nurse from Melbourne, Australia, Tara wasn't chasing subtle beauty. She was chasing an exaggerated fantasy that pushed her body further with every procedure. Over the years, she's been widely reported to have undergone 5 breast augmentations, 6 nose jobs, and countless rounds of Botox and fillers, turning her appearance into something dramatically doll-like and impossible to ignore. Each new change seemed to raise the stakes, making her look more like a living cartoon than a natural human being. As her surgeries stacked up, so did public concern. Doctors reportedly warned her about serious health risks, saying her body had already endured too much trauma. But Tara's obsession appeared stronger than fear. The most jaw-dropping moment came when she appeared on the reality show Botched. Viewers expected her to ask for repairs or reversals, yet she shocked everyone by requesting even larger implants despite the surgeons strongly advising against it. That single moment turned her from a viral curiosity into a symbol of something darker when cosmetic surgery stops being a choice and starts looking like a dependency. Tara Jane McConney's story keeps sparking debate because it sits right between empowerment and self-destruction. Some people see her as confident, fearless, and fully in control of her body. Others see a woman trapped in a cycle where bigger and more are never enough. And as a medical professional herself, her choices raise an uncomfortable question: if someone who understands health risks still can't stop chasing the next procedure, then what does that say about how powerful beauty addiction and social validation can become? Fair Olvera. Fair Olvera's story is the kind that makes people rethink every casual little tweak they've ever considered. He reportedly went in for what sounded like a minor cosmetic procedure, chin and neck sculpting, the kind of change meant to erase a double chin and sharpen the jawline for a more confident look. Nothing extreme, nothing dramatic on paper. Just one small adjustment to feel better in photos and in the mirror. But that's what makes his case so terrifying. Sometimes the smallest procedures carry the biggest risks. According to the story, something went horribly wrong during the operation. A vein ruptured, turning a simple cosmetic goal into a medical emergency. What was supposed to be controlled routine and safe quickly became chaos, blood loss, panic, and doctors fighting to stabilize him. In moments like that, the purpose of surgery flips instantly. It's no longer about beauty or confidence. It becomes about survival. The before and after doesn't show the horror happening behind the scenes, but the reality is that he was reportedly closer to death than anyone could have imagined from a procedure most people would call harmless. Fair Olvera's near-fatal complication is a brutal reminder that cosmetic surgery is still real surgery. No matter how common these procedures are today, the body doesn't treat them like a beauty appointment, it treats them like trauma. His case stands as a warning to anyone who thinks going under the knife is always low risk because it's trending or normalized. Sometimes the price of chasing a sharper profile isn't money or recovery time. It can be your life. Carmen Campuzano. Carmen Campuzano was once the definition of high-fashion glamour in Mexico, a top model whose face belonged on magazine covers, billboards, and television. She wasn't just beautiful. She was iconic, the kind of woman people couldn't stop staring at because her features felt unforgettable. But then over time, her appearance changed in a way that shocked the public and turned her name into one of the most talked-about mysteries in Latin entertainment. The center of that storm was her nose, which became visibly distorted and sparked endless speculation. What exactly caused the damage has been debated for years. Some people blamed illness, others whispered about an accident, and some connected it to deeper personal struggles. But the truth is, the public rarely cared about facts as much as they cared about the spectacle. Cameras zoomed in. Tabloids ran theories like it was a true crime case. Every time Carmen appeared in public, her face was treated like a question mark, and the internet reacted like a jury. Instead of being seen as a person living through pain, she was reduced to a rumor that people felt entitled to dissect. What makes Carmen Campuzano's story powerful isn't just the transformation, it's her resilience. She didn't disappear forever or hide from the world. She faced the scrutiny, the jokes, the invasive curiosity, and the cruel headlines with a strength most people could never perform under that kind of pressure. Because her story wasn't really about a nose. It was about what happens when the world turns someone's face into gossip, and how much it takes to keep standing when your identity becomes a public mystery. Carmen became a reminder that sometimes the most shocking transformation isn't physical, it's the way a person learns to survive being watched. Alfredo Palacios. Alfredo Palacios was known as a celebrity stylist, someone who could make other people look flawless under the brightest lights. He understood beauty, youth, and image better than most because his world revolved around glamour. But over time, Alfredo didn't just style the stars. He started transforming himself. With repeated Botox and fillers, his face gradually took on a tightened, smoothed-out look that many viewers compared to a real-life filter. The cheeks appeared puffier, the skin looked almost too polished, and his expressions seemed to move less and less, as if emotion had been frozen in place. As his appearance changed, the internet reacted the way it always does, loudly and without mercy. People began circulating side-by-side comparisons, making jokes that he looked like a wax figure, or a person aging backwards in the strangest way possible. Memes spread fast, and every new public appearance became a viral spot the difference moment. Instead of being remembered for talent and expertise, Alfredo's face became the headline proof of how easily cosmetic enhancements can shift from subtle refresh to something uncanny and unnatural. His story hits like a cautionary tale because it shows the thin line between maintaining youth and becoming trapped by it. Botox and fillers aren't automatically dangerous when done responsibly, but the obsession with never aging can quietly turn into a cycle where the mirror is never satisfied. Alfredo Palacios became a reminder that time doesn't stop just because the face is frozen. And sometimes, the more you chase eternal youth, the more you risk losing the one thing that makes you look truly alive: your natural expression, your warmth, your humanity. Jorge Kawagi. Jorge Kawagi is one of those public figures whose face became more famous than his resume. Known in Mexico as a businessman, politician, and even a boxer, Jorge has worn many titles, but none of them distracted people from the one thing the internet kept obsessing over: his constantly evolving appearance. One day he looked like a familiar public personality, and the next viewers claimed he looked like someone completely different. His cheeks appeared unusually puffed, his eyes looked narrower, and his skin took on a glossy, almost high-polished shine that sparked instant curiosity. Because Jorge never gave a clear, detailed explanation, speculation filled the gap. Online comments debated whether it was plastic surgery, fillers, Botox, or some combination of enhancements. Each new public appearance triggered fresh comparisons, side-by-side photos, and a wave of memes. People treated his face like a spot, the difference game, analyzing every angle and expression as if it were a mystery unfolding in seasons. And the more he appeared, the louder the conversation became, because facial changes don't usually happen that dramatically without a reason. What makes Jorge Kawagi's story so fascinating is how it shows the strange new reality of fame today. You can be a politician and entrepreneur, but the internet may still reduce you to a viral face debate. His transformation became a symbol of modern obsession with image, where public figures are expected to stay youthful, flawless, and camera-ready forever. Whether Jorge's look came from cosmetic work or not, the reaction proves something powerful. Once the public decides your face is a storyline, you don't control the narrative anymore. The internet does. Belinda. Belinda is one of Mexico's most recognizable pop stars and actresses, someone who grew up in the spotlight and seemed to transform from a sweet childhood celebrity into a polished, glamorous icon. Her face has always been described as almost two perfect symmetrical features, glowing skin, and a camera-ready look that never seems to crack. But as the years passed and her appearance became even sharper and more refined, the internet began asking the question that follows so many celebrities today: did she get work done or not? Fans online pointed to subtle changes: her nose appearing smaller and more sculpted, her chin looking sharper, and her overall facial structure seeming more snatched than before. Some people argue it's just makeup, better styling, weight changes, or even natural maturity. Others pull out side-by-side photos like evidence, insisting the differences are too consistent to be explained by puberty alone. And the reason the debate never dies is simple. Belinda has repeatedly denied cosmetic surgery rumors, keeping the truth behind her glow-up, locked behind a wall of confidence and silence. That's what makes Belinda's story so fascinating in the world of shocking transformations, not because she looks extreme, but because she represents a new kind of celebrity mystery. Sometimes the shock isn't in an obvious before and after. It's in how perfectly controlled the evolution appears, to the point where people can't stop guessing. Belinda has become a symbol of modern fame, where beauty is part of the brand, denial becomes part of the strategy, and the public is left arguing forever. Is it natural evolution or carefully chosen procedures? Either way, her face has turned into a debate that keeps her name trending, proving that in today's culture, looking flawless can be as controversial as looking unrecognizable. At the end of the day, 24 most shocking plastic surgery. Transformations isn't just about before and after photos. It's about what happens when beauty becomes a battlefield. Some people chased perfection and found confidence, while others found pain, regret, and consequences they never expected. From filters and fillers to extreme surgeries and dangerous shortcuts, these stories prove one truth: the mirror can become addictive when the world rewards extremes. So here's the real question for the Legends of Black Excellence family. Should we judge people for changing their bodies, or judge the culture that made them feel they had to?